How is the going, guys? Mutemo here, back again with another tutorial. So guys, in today's video I'll show you how I color corrected in camera raw filter, color graded in Photoshop, and also retouched and did dodge and burn on this photo. And yeah, like I'll show you how I fully edit my photos step by step from scratch, because most of my photos I always start them from let's say Lightroom, but today I decided to start like exactly from the camera direct to Photoshop, start with the camera raw and everything on how to retouch. And you can see we have this beautiful photo. I just had uploaded it. I just had uploaded it in Photoshop, and the first thing I do, of course, I'll put it in a straight way, upside up. It's, you can see that right now it's like upside down. So what I'll do, I'll click crop, then rotate, all flip. Now we have our photo. The first thing I'll do some color correction. So I'll come here to adjustments, then go to basic adjustments. The first thing I'll do, let me see, you can see, let me zoom this inside a little bit. Okay, the first thing I'll do, I want to balance the skin tones to make sure the photo and the colors, the highlights, everything looks nice. And I'll start by reducing the highlights. Let's reduce the highlights to somewhere like -45. Increase the shadows to something like, let's say, +18. Whites, of course, I'll push them to maybe -25, and the blacks to something like, let's say, -8, 7 there. The next thing, I'll go to vibrance and push it to this level like that. And then the next thing, of course, the saturation a little bit, very like +1. I'll zoom in my image, of course, to see if the colors still look nice. The next thing, I'll go to the temperature and the tint. I'll push the temperature towards the yellow and the tint towards this side like that. That's perfect. And then I'll go down here because I want to add contrast, and I don't want to use the contrast on Photoshop. I prefer using DAs on the camera also. Just push it this way, that way. And let me show you before and this after. You can see we have the colors of the outfit and like everything looking nice. Then say click open. Okay guys, now we have our photo here. The method I'll use today for frequency separation is the Gaussian blur method for the 8-bit image. So what happens when you edit photo direct from Lightroom, the photo becomes a 16-bit image. But when you edit a photo direct from the camera to Photoshop, the photo is a 8-bit image. So I'll use the 8-bit image method to retouch this photo. But first of all, I'll crop the photo to Instagram size because I post all my photos on Instagram. So what I'll do, I'll go to crop, then select 4:5 or 8:10, which is the normal ratio of Instagram. Then of course, make sure the photo fits well. Say something like that. Then that's perfect, yeah, because I don't want to cut the hair and stuff. Then say okay. Sorry. Okay, now you can see we have cropped our photo. The first thing I'll do, of course, I'll duplicate the layers twice. So Ctrl J twice. Let's rename this texture and let's rename this colors. I'll disable the texture layer, then select on the colors or on the color layer, then go to filter, blur, then Gaussian blur. I reduce the radius to maybe 0.1, and then identify a place in the model skin where I feel the textures are a little bit higher. So let me just drag this box to this side, zoom in my image, and try to identify a place in the model skin where I feel the textures are a little bit high. And let's say this area, then I'll push this. And guys, Remember, my camera is a 24 megapixel camera, and I shot this image with an aperture of maybe 3.2. That means the quality, it's very sharp, but the quality might be not higher as when you shoot the aperture of 5.6, 7.1. So remember, the ratios you're using are different. Same as when using maybe 48 megapixel camera, the ratios you use or the radius you use while doing frequency separation are actually different ratios or different radiuses. So yeah, so I'll push this until I see the blemishes disappear. See, 4.4, I guess 4.4, 5 is perfect. Okay, then I say, okay, now I want to apply this blur on the texture layer so that I can separate the colors and the textures. So what I'll do, I'll select on the texture layer, then go to image, then apply image. What I'll do, I'll select the color layer because we're separating the colors from the textures. Yeah, then select, of course it's RGB. Remember, when retouching a 16-bit image, we normally use a blending mode of add, but for this one I use a blending mode of subtract because I headed this photo direct from the camera and it's a 8-bit image. So this is what I'll do, I'll select subtract. Of course, scale will be 2 and offset of 128. Normally, if you are using if you are editing a 16-bit image, you use add, then scale 2 and offset of 0, then you select invert. But for this one, you just select subtract and we won't click invert. Preserve transparent not selected and mask not selected, then say okay. Up to that level, I'm sure we're good and I'm sure you are followed through. If you want this image to do your retouching, please just DM me and I'll send the image to you. What I'll do, I'll change the blending mode to linear light. Up to that area, I'm sure we're good. And then I'll create a black and white layer on top of this, like that, so that I can see the highlights and the shadows perfectly. Now, I'll select the mixer brush tool because we're mixing the, we're trying to blend the skin, the highlights alone, the shadows alone, and the mid-tones alone to create a well-balanced image. So I'll zoom in my image like that. The blemishes, I prefer removing them immediately after I'm done with frequency separation. So I'll pick the mixer brush tool, I reduce the size a little bit like that. Make sure it's a soft brush, so hardness at 0, wetness at 10, load 75, mix 90, and flow at 100%. I'm sure up to that level we're good. So what I'll do, I'll rotate my image. To rotate your image, just press R in your keyboard and just you can rotate as much as possible. So I'll start with this area right here. So I'll brush some highlights here. I'm not putting so much pressure on my pen. So this is what I'll do, just like that. Just like that. Just slowly. I'm not putting any pressure on the pen. Then I'll rotate my image like this because I want to retouch this eye area. Like that. I'm putting the lowest effort possible. So you can see how I'm doing the retouch. Then I increase the brush. To increase the brush, you press the right bracket. To reduce, you press the left bracket. So yeah. And if you're using a pressure pen, please don't put so much pressure on your pen or on the tablet, so that you can get a well retouched image. Just with, you can see, if I could just put all this in a group and show you the before, after, okay, before and after. You can see we are retouching but still remaining with the perfect skin texture. So of course let me retouch this side right here like this. There's this shadow, and then this side right here like that. Perfect. You can see how we're retouching. When you create the perfect layers, anything else will just flow perfectly, and you'll get a well retouched image. So of course I got anything else, balancing the highlights, the shadows, I'll do them while doing dodge and burn. So let's continue. Start this area like this. Yeah, perfectly. And of course, let me retouch again this area like this. Perfect. So I'll zoom in. I'll rotate my image like this to just retouch this area and disable the black and white, because you can see there are some shadows right here, but I'll balance them during when I'll be doing dodge and burn. The reason why I zoom my images is because of my sight, and I know I don't see so far. So like when the image is like zoomed out like this, I won't see. So I prefer retouching it zoomed in. So anything else, the details, I'll bring them back after I'm done with the retouch. Crop this straight like that. Then again, and just retouch this area like this. Guys, frequency separation is actually not so hard. You can retouch at a very short time, and you'll get a well retouched image. So yeah, so this area like this. If it's let's say flat areas, I prefer increasing the size of the brush and then just passing. With no much effort. So yeah, thank you guys for the support so far. I'm trying to be uploading as many videos as possible, and I can help as many people as possible. So yeah, frequency separation, let's understand frequency separation, because these things changes every single day. You can see guys, there's this shadow, but that area is actually perfectly touched. So I'll remove the shadows immediately, doing dodge and burn immediately after I'm done with frequency separation. So enable the black and white again. Then of course colors, then perfect like that. Hope you guys are following along, and yeah. Perfectly. I'm trying to retouch this and balance this as fast as possible, so that yeah, we can do some color grading and dodge and burn. Make sure our image looks nice. So guys, if I could just disable the black and white, you can see how much we have done on this picture. And the next thing I'll do, I want to do dodge and burn on this picture. And the first layers of dodge and burn are I'll do the dodge layer to just balance the light right here. You can see this area like this. There's some shadows. So what I'll do, I'll select curves layer, then select on this tool right here, this thumb tool, and then just push this area up like that, then disable. Then so invert, select Control I in your keyboard to invert, then select brush tool, make sure it's a very soft brush, and you can reduce the flow to something like, let's say 30, 33, 34, that's okay. Then brush this area like this to balance the highlights and to just balance the skin tone to be the same as the other parts of the model's skin. Perfect. You can see how much difference it has done over there, because we really needed a balanced skin like that. Okay, the next thing I'll do, of course, I'll do some other more dodge and burn. So that's just the before and after. That's before first dodge and burn and frequency separation, but I just use the dodge curve to just balance the lighting over here. And then the next one I'll do now to bring more dimension on the model's skin. So what I'll do, I'll go to curves, new adjustment layer, curves, then push this up like this. Select anywhere in the model skin where there's maybe an highlight, then push it up like that. Then select invert, then let's call this dodge. Then again curves, select model skin where you feel there are shadows, then pull them down like that, and let's call this burn. Okay, now let's go back to our frequency separation layers. Select on the texture layer, then pick your clone stamp tool, then zoom in your image. You can see the frequency separation didn't like distort the skin. Make sure you are left with these small textures. They actually make the photo look really natural. Yeah, like that. To remove this line here, I think this line is caused when you laugh so much or you yawn too much. I don't know. I feel so. I always feel so. Or when you talk too much. Anyway, yeah. So let's continue. These eye bags a little bit, just remove them perfectly. Make sure the photo looks nice without blemishes. Now let's go back to let's put all this in a group and call this dodge and burn, and let's call this frequency separation. Okay, so let's go back, of course, to our texture layer. I've seen something which I think I should work on it, but I want the photo to look as original as possible. But I want to remove these lines right here, so I just select some texture from this area and just put it somewhere like there. Then again, perfect. Then pick my mixer brush tool and then just balance it even more often. You can come here to your dodge and burn and just reduce this, and then just paint this as much as possible to just brighten it like that. Perfect, perfect. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll go to the dodge and burn, select on the dodge. Let's create another black and white, or you can just enable this black and white here, and let's dodge this image. I'll start with the lips. I want the glossy to be more visible, so like that, as visible as possible. As visible as possible. Yep. Dodge and burn. Dodge and burn really makes photos pop so much. And guys, this is not an head shot, it's like let's say a long portrait. I do different tutorials of head shots, full body portraits. If you watched my previous tutorial, it's a full body portrait tutorial. So please, if you haven't watched, or if you are new here, you haven't subscribed, please go subscribe. Please subscribe. Okay. So I want to do burn. I want to burn this here, so I just pass it once like that, then this area like this, then maybe this area like that, and let's disable the black and white. And if I could just show you how much the dodge and burn has done to our image, and you can see frequency separation, what it did to the image, and now how much dodge and burn has done to the image. And let's continue. Now what I want to do, I want to do color grading. I color grade the background and color grade the foreground, the subject or the foreground, but mostly the subject. So this is what I'll do. I'll go to selective color, then zoom in my image, of course I will, because of my site, yeah. Then select on the blacks, then push these blacks inside like that, then on the yellow push it outside like that. Perfect. Go to reds, push it inside like that, and then push it the yellows outside like that. Go to yellows, the cyans inside like that, and the yellows inside like that. Perfectly. If I could show you the difference that has made to our image, perfectly. Go to color balance. I want to balance the shadows, the highlights, and everything. So let's start with the midtones. I'll push this way because I want it to look warmer, and then push the reds inside like that perfectly. And then on the shadows, I'll push them towards the blues like that, and the cyans like this to get that feel. And then on the highlights, of course, like that, just slightly, and then this like this slightly. And if I could just put all this in a group and show you color grading. But one last thing I'll do, I'll go to levels, just under this color, let's call this color grading. Okay, just under the color grading, on top of this, I'll go to levels. I want to add more contrast. By adding more contrast, I have to push inside the shadows. So I'll just press Alt, then just push inside the shadows like this, like that. Perfectly. And there you have a fully edited and retouched image. You can still increase the highlights. Press Alt and push the highlights inside to just, yeah. That's how the image looks after color grading and before color grading. Sorry. Also, something else you can do, you can actually color grade the background, and this is how you can color grade the background alone. Press Control Shift Alt and E to create a merged layer of everything you have done on your photo. Then Control J to create a new layer of the merged layer, of course. Then select subject, perfect. Then go to new adjustment layer, then select selective color. When you select selective color, it will pick the selection and you can just adjust the selection only. But we want to edit the background, and for you to get to the anywhere editable should be white in our selection. So just Control I, you invert because we want to work on the background. So right click right here and then select on the selection, then push feathering inside so that the adjustment will be so visible on, like the separation will be as smooth as possible. Okay, then select of course the new adjustments, then of course go to blacks. Only blacks I'll work on it here, then you can push it this way, then this like that, then you can push this to maybe something like that, then this like this, say that way, and pass. We have color graded the background. You can see the difference, and that's how you can edit. One final thing, you just increase the brightness of this picture by select this, pick this, then push it up like that, and you'll have a fully edited and touch image. If I could put all this together in a group and call this editing or stock post-production, whatever. So if I could just disable this editing, you can see how far our image has come from and what we actually have right now, and that's all you can do to just edit a photo. And there are so many things you can do to make photos pop. And the first thing, you can just work with the vibrance, like here, select it, then vibrance, then push the vibrance inside like this. Or you can go to select black and white and then pick this and select luminosity. Also, there are so many methods you can make your photos pop. Let's call this pop. Perfect. So before, after. Okay, you can see this was how our image looked immediately we put it on Photoshop after we have done editing and after I have made the image pop, and that's all. And the last thing I'll do, I'll whiten the eyes, and I'll go here to my actions, then select eyes and teeth whitening, and then of course zoom in your image, and then pick your brush tool, make sure it's a very smooth brush. Let's say flow at 100%, then just brush this like that, and that's all. You have a fully edited image. That's all. Put all this together and say final. So that's all. Before, after, before, after. So guys, that's all. That's what I did to this photo. So if you're new here and this is the first time you're coming across my video, please don't forget to subscribe, share this video to your friends or to your fellow photographers so that they may learn a thing how to. See you in the next video, and peace out.